Hi, everybody, and welcome to the 11/11/2022 monthly message from Mother Mary. My name is Samara Grace Daniels, and I've been channeling Mother Mary for a long time, over 20 years. And every time it's a message about love, it's a message about creating community, it's a message about how we can move out of our head and into our heart. And I hope it's as wonderful for you tonight as it always is for me. I also want to take a moment and give a shout out to all of the veterans and their families of every branch of every country who have served and who have put themselves in harm's way. And along with that, all of the people who supported them, you know, in every possible way. My son was in the Navy for 6 years, and I'm very proud of him, and I'm very glad he made it home safe. And of course, not everybody did. So to all of our veterans, bless you, bless you, bless you, and thank you. Okay, and so when I channel Mother Mary, I'm never really sure what she's going to say, which is part of the mystery and part of the fun. But I'm going to just take a moment and let her speak. And this will be recorded, and then anyone who wants to stay, who's on the call afterwards, I turn off the recording and allow for the friendship and companionship of our group to ask and answer questions. So just take a breath, allow yourself to feel the love that Mother Mary brings. Open your minds and open your hearts. And here she comes. Well, hello, beloved ones. So tonight is going to be a reminder that love is not only for what you wish in your life, but it's for everything that shows up. What? What do you mean? It's very simple. You know, when things show up that you think, oh, no, you know, I didn't really ask for that. I don't really want that. It's because those things in that moment or for a while require your love. And love is not as simple as some people wanted to think about it. Love requires you to ask, what is it that is disharmonious? What is it that is not to my liking? What is it that is here that I wish would go away? And so I'm going to divide myself and say, you go away, I'm staying over here. Well, what you're doing is you're allowing and adding to the divide, right? When you say, no, I don't want that, I don't want this, I don't want that. So instead, the mastery of love is to say, I first of all bring all sorts of love into my body, my heart, and my mind. So I meditate, I go out in nature, I listen to music, I lift myself into my connection with spirit, right? So now, all right, so now I'm a channel, I'm a vessel, I'm a chalice of love, okay? And so now here comes something and I'm like, oh, no, go away. That is not the mastery of love. When something appears that you don't like, don't want, what it's saying is, will you love me? Will you allow the benevolent exchange of your being to bring light and love to this situation? Now, I want to give you a few examples because this is really what's going to change your own experience of this life, and it's going to change a lot of things in the coming days. Because right now, all over the world, it's sort of like there's a sense of enemy, there's a sense of those people are bad or wrong, or, you know, I don't want them around or whatever. And all of that creates a kind of cauldron, C-A-U-L-D-R-O-N, a cauldron of chaos, right? And for those of you that love peace and quiet and all of that, it's like you want to just say, no, take away the cauldron. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Just let me sit under a Bodhi tree and be uplifted. Well, that's all right for a time. But you're here really to make a difference. You're here really to exchange some of your love to what is calling to you for love. And this is the mastery. This is why so many of you have been listening not only to me, but to other channels, to other information, to those that are trying to create a path of light. But the path of light requires acts of love. I'm going to say that again. The path of light requires acts of love. And love isn't always, oh, let me hug you and kiss you and love you. Sometimes it is. But sometimes it requires, I want to say, a little more sacrifice on your part, to be uncomfortable for a little moment and realize when someone shows up who has a different opinion, when someone shows up who is dressed differently or has a different religion or all of that, instead of immediately dividing me and you into two different boxes, you say, tell me more about why you believe that. What is it that you see happening out of that choice that you're making? Or you simply shower them with love. So I'm going to give you a few examples that are also from longtime friends that some of you know. So we have a friend who's been with Samara for a long time named Frances. And what Frances has chosen to do for many years now is, let's say that she walks into a store and the storekeeper's sort of in a sour mood, right? And being very gruff and, yeah, what do you want? And this and that. What she does is she takes a moment and she pours out of her being the light of love. And so she's not saying a word, but she's sending through her heart and her third eye and her energy this message: you are loved. I see you. You are loved. And again, she will share the stories of how that clerk or that person, all of a sudden, it's like something, hit them. And it's like, oh, how can I help you? And they're smiling and everything is changed. So that's one example. And I'm sure many of you do something like that. But the idea is to understand that rather than just being offended by someone who is having a bad day, they have been put in your path so that you might love them enough to remind them they are not alone. And so you become this beautiful conveyor of light and of love to many who otherwise, perhaps in that given day, would not experience it. Another longtime friend who's now probably 90 is a lady in Sun Lakes named Betty Carson. And Betty has been doing programs for at least 30 or 40 years now, in which she sends light all over the globe, so her group says, oh, Ukraine or India or, whatever it is, and they're all sending this love and everything else. And she comes out of those calls and she's all just so happy. And she walks into the other room where her husband, who is now passed, is, and he says, how did it go? And she says, oh, very well. And he picks up his newspaper and says, but did you know that there was, a fire in, over here? And she's so annoyed, like, I just sent light and love to this and this and that. Why are you telling me these terrible things? And so she actually came and asked me and Samara, what do I do about my husband? He just keeps bringing me down. He tells me about all these other tragedies. And I told her, as I'm telling you, he's giving you your next assignment. He's giving you your next assignment. So don't think of him as being bringing you down. Think of him as supporting you in your work to do the next, giving of love. So that's another example. So instead of being angry with him, she now began to see that what he was really doing was believing that her good work could continue and even be expanded. So all of these things are just reminders that you are here really to be a peacekeeper, yes, but not by telling people what to believe or what to do or how to behave or what to wear and all of that, because that's not what you're here for. You're here to convey the unity of love, the uniting power of love. And so it's going to be interesting to see how many more of you, and I know, again, all of you do it in your own way, but this is an expansion of that. This is to realize that there are responses that you're making to what's going on in the world that make you cross your arms and say, oh, you know, that's awful or terrible or whatever. And perhaps in your mind it is. But then the question becomes, what is the remedy? What is the remedy so that you're not over here in this place blaming and, you know, being discouraged and being upset about, you know, whatever someone else is doing? So you begin to realize, all right, I don't like this, whatever this is that has shown up in my path. So now I have to roll up my sleeves and say, okay, it has shown up in my path. It has shown up in my path, a person, an animal, a situation, a relative, a friend, and they are having difficulty. And so my job, my calling, is to recognize that I am a light for myself, yes, but I'm also a light for spirit, for God. And so how can I beam that light in such a way that this person or this situation or this animal or this whatever it is knows I am not pushing them away. I am embracing them to the best of my ability and saying, I see you, I hear you, I am with you. And even if their opinion is different, that's not the same. We're talking about the humanity. We're talking about the bond of love for every living aspect, animals, trees, plants, whatever. Right? So this is about understanding that what shows up isn't always the enemy. What shows up is what needs healing, what needs attention, what needs extra love and being. I'm going to give you one more example from, I guess, sort of ancient history. So I'd asked Samara and a friend to go to Los Alamos in New Mexico and to say a prayer where the atomic bomb had been developed. And if any of you have ever been in that area of the country, it is very highly guarded and protected with, you know, barbed wire fences and all this sort of thing. And as they were approaching it, her friend got a really bad headache and said, oh, please, please, turn around, turn around. I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And Samara took a moment and tuned in. And I said to her, sometimes when you're invited to go to places, sometimes you go to get, but sometimes you go to give, and you're there to give. And so they continued on, and they found a little place where they could, you know, stop for a moment. And they built a little apicetta, which is an earth altar. And her friend played the flute and said a prayer. And, you know, they brought in everyone to say, please forgive us for all that has happened from that creation of the atomic bomb. And so they finished and they got up and they were going to their car when the two security police, you know, came. And Samara was like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. We were lost. Can you show me on the map where to go? And so, you know, and so off they went. But again, it's like understanding in that moment when her friend got the headache, some people might say, oh, yes, then we should turn around and not go because it's too difficult. And sometimes that might be true, but take a moment and tune in and just ask, is this mine to do now? That's a very important question. Is this mine to do now? And if it is, ask for blessings, ask for peace, ask for equanimity, but do what you're guided to do. Otherwise, what you'll find is that all the little boxes will keep getting more and more divided. And there will be this cauldron of everyone just wishing for peace, but blaming the world and certain groups for creating this divide. And so here we are on 11/11, what many call Veterans Day. And when you think about war, what is that? What is that? One group has decided or created a situation that the other group will not stand for. And it has gotten so divisive, so difficult, so dire, that now they're using soldiers and guns and tanks and bombs and all of that to supposedly win. And there is not ever really a winner. Just ask anyone who went to Korea or Vietnam. So how do we tamp down all of that that gets us into war? How do we do that? The simple acts that I'm speaking about, of being kind to someone, even if they are, if you're a Democrat, they're Republican or independent or whatever it is, but there is a common ground, there is a common place that you can find. And in that moment, you can just set aside your differences and say, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, I am with you. Because in the end, isn't it true that what everyone wants is to live a life in peace, to live a life of prosperity and creation, to live a life with friends and family and happy children and happy animals and all of that? It's like, well, that's what everyone wants. But the divisiveness is in how do we create that, and who's to blame if it isn't happening the way that I like. So 2022 has been a cauldron, right? Lots and lots of upsets in every possible way. And what that means is that to create calm and peace in the years to come, we have to find the still water within us, the still water within us, and offer that as our love, as our offering, as our way of being. And again, I'm not saying it's easy. We all like to have those around us who agree with us, who like the same foods and the same activities and all of that. But that isn't the world that you live in. You live in a world of diversity. You live in a world of creativity, and you live in a world of free will and choice. And so creating this peace is a long-term goal. But the benefit for you is that you can create that peace within yourself. And then you can offer it as often as you feel guided, as you move throughout all that is happening. Now, many people have asked me about, you know, everything from COVID to politics to all of that. What I will say is really just understand that if you want to live in a world of peace and harmony, that begins right here with yourself. You cannot have out there what you do not have in here. Meanwhile, you create the love and peace and harmony in yourself, and then every once in a while, you know, the storm comes, you know, whether it's Florida and the hurricane, whether it's COVID, whether it's, you know, whatever it is. But the point that I'm making is that when it comes, you don't take it personally. You don't say, oh, it's raining on my parade. Maybe the earth needs that rain in that moment. But what you do, this is the mastery of love. This is the mastery of love. What you do is you fill yourself with that love. And then you live it. You live your love by recognizing that those who are divisive, those who are suffering, those who are angry and doing crazy things, they're doing that really like a spoiled child to get attention, right? the ones that are doing the crazy things. It's like, no one's seeing me, so I'm going to do this crazy thing. So if we tamp it all the way down, if we come all the way back and we start to be kind and give peace and equanimity to every child, to every animal, to every tree, to every being. We don't have to have dinner with everybody. We don't. But it doesn't mean that you can't at least be that person that recognizes everyone's on their own walk. And everyone is lonely from time to time. And everyone feels betrayed or rejected from time to time. They do. But you can be the benevolent, kind person that looks them in the eye and says, I see you. That listens and says, I hear you. You don't have to say, I agree with you. You just say, I hear you. I feel you. I'm with you. And now what happens is that cauldron that is within that person simmers down. I'm not saying it goes away, but it simmers down. And they have an opportunity to just feel your love and to feel, at least for a moment, they are not bereft. They are not alone. They are not left, cast aside, you know. So many of you have asked me about these people, you know, that are causing some of the havoc and wearing the uniforms with guns and all of that and trying to disrupt the election and all that. Well, they feel betrayed. I'm not saying they are, but I'm saying they feel betrayed. They feel left out. And the dialogue has allowed them to believe that it's up to them to make things right. And so they're acting out of that idea. So if you begin to carry the idea that all people have value, all people have value, all animals have value, all life has value. What you carry then is this, I'll just call it manna. You know, many of you know what manna is, the bread that the Israelites were fed as they crossed the desert that came every day. But you become the manna. Richard knows this very well. You become the bread. And you help them to have a bite of that bread for the day. And that is the work that Jesus began all those years ago. And that so many of you are carrying on, each in your own way, in that tradition, to be the bread. And it doesn't mean you don't get to eat. It means you have already eaten and you're full. And now you're offering that to those who, in that moment, need your love. They need to eat of the bread of light. So be the bread of light. It will make your own life so much happier, I promise you. And it will help the world to rise from the cauldron and, at least for a time, to be more calm and to feel heard and seen and listened to and felt. They are all crying right now. So many are crying. And what they want is love. And so you can be that bread. You can be that light. You can be that love. And so that is my challenge to each of you, to really begin to share the light and the love that you are. And I believe that Richard is sharing the wonderful song, I Am the Bread. And he has shared that in some of the Reiki classes. And it's a beautiful reminder that you can be the bread. You can be the bread. And it doesn't mean you haven't eaten. It means you're full. So first, we said this last time, first go up, feel yourself, right? Then go in and make sure that all of you is feeling the peace and the equanimity and the love and the joy. And then go out, then offer it however you would like. So for 11/11 of 2022, this is Mother Mary. And I just want to thank any of you who've watched this. And I just invite you, be the bread. The world is hungry. And you will feel what it's like to feed so many. As Jesus did, and as he told all of you, all that I do, you can do, and more. So for now, I'm going to sign off and stop the recording. But from all of you, I just want to say, be the bread. Let that be your reminder. I am the bread this year, next year, and the year after. And within about 24 to 36 months, I wish it was sooner, and it might be sooner, depending, you will feel a entirely different world. Much love. Much love. Namaste.